Hey everyone, what's going on? Jeff here from Films at Home, and today I'm making one of my favorite types of videos to make because I get super hyped about all this stuff, and I know you guys do too. But we're gonna go through a 4K and Blu-ray, there's a lot of Blu-ray, release schedule for the end of this year, 2021. So I've been doing these updates throughout the year as I learn more about release dates and what's coming to 4K and Blu-ray, and I tend to focus more on the 4K side, but in this one I'll bring in some more of the I would say prominent Blu-ray releases. So obviously there's dozens and dozens of standard Blu-ray releases coming out, but I will highlight some of the more important ones as well as all of the 4K releases that I've learned about. Now most of these I would say are 100% confirmed at this point, but a few of them may move, and I will talk about some others that I've talked about in the past which have either been canceled or moved, which is important to note. So this will cover you all the way through September, all the way through October, most of November, and just a couple titles here in December, but it'll give you a really good idea of what you should be expecting in the next few months, and be ready because your wallets are going to be hurting. So given that I'm making this almost towards the end of August, by the time most of you watch this, it'll probably be September. And so I'm going to start midway through September, and we're going to jump right into September 14th. Now, each of these release dates is a Tuesday, so you can go 7 days at a time. New 4Ks and Blu-rays come out on Tuesdays. So on September 14th, it's a big day because we have the Columbia Classics Volume 2. Won't talk about that too much because I've covered it extensively in other videos as well as its own standalone video. If you want to check that out, go find it on my channel. But it's a really, really exciting release that I'm super pumped to check out. Now, also on the 14th, we have Shawshank Redemption coming on 4K. That's awesome. Obviously, one of the most beloved, greatest movies of all time. Probably the best Stephen King movie of all time, and a new 4K transfer, which is something we're always happy about when it comes to big catalog titles like that. So you'll be able to get that on 4K. And then Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters is also coming to 4K. A little bit of a probably smaller profile title, but I know there's some people who are excited about it, and I actually pre-ordered it myself because Amazon had a pricing mistake, and instead of listing it for $17.98, they listed it for $7.98. So I posted that on the YouTube community page. If you guys don't subscribe and follow me, that's a great place to find deals, especially quick kind of pricing mistakes or lightning deals like that. So that's a great place to look. Some of you took advantage of it, but I'll be checking that one out because I did pre-order it. And then for Blu-ray on the 14th, I noted this because a lot of people are A24 collectors. That's sort of built its own community. The movie Zola, which is based on that kind of set of viral tweets that came out, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. It's a brand new A24 movie that's going to be coming out just on Blu-ray, but that also releases on September 14th. Now, 1 week later, on to September 21st, it's another big day for 4K. First off, we've got A Clockwork Orange from Stanley Kubrick, so there's some confirmed artwork I can share with you here. And I should note, if there is confirmed artwork, I will share it. If the artwork is not confirmed, I'll just put up some screenshots from the movie. But anywhere you see artwork, that is the confirmed artwork for this release, and Clockwork Orange has had that confirmed. That's from the 21st. We're also getting Unbreakable from Disney and Fox. That's part of that split Glass Unbreakable trilogy. That's coming to 4K as well. And then from Disney, we're also getting Cruella on 4K. So that had a long, theatrical and Disney Plus run, and now it's getting its 4K physical release. Also on the 21st, we are getting Fast and Furious 9, which also had a long kind of theatrical run. That's now making its way as a new release to 4K, and that'll be available on the 21st. Now, one interesting Blu-ray that I want to highlight for the 21st is actually Dementia 13, which is a very, very early film from Francis Ford Coppola, and that is coming from the Vestron video line. So it's actually pretty cool. It's pretty historically significant. It's a very short movie, one of his earliest movies, but there was a lot of hype online about this one, and a lot of people are excited to have that in an HD physical format. So that's one to note if you're interested in that sort of boutique horror. Now, jumping ahead 1 week to the 28th, this is not the biggest day for 4K, but there's a couple releases. One will be the standard release of the Transformers animated movie from 1986 on 4K. The Steelbook was previously available. Now this is just the standard release. You'll be able to get your hands on that. Also on 4K from Arrow Video, we have Children of the Corn. Great classic cult horror movie, another Stephen King movie, in fact, and one that I'm really looking forward to in 4K because It's one of my kind of guilty pleasure movies. I love watching it around Halloween, and I'd love to see what Arrow does with 4K. And then for a new release, we're also getting the Forever Purge on 4K and Blu-ray on that day. Now, an interesting Blu-ray only release that's coming out on the 28th is Drop Dead Fred. That's been long out of print. Even I think the DVD was very, very expensive. It's a movie that a lot of people are nostalgic for, but we are finally getting an HD release of this. It's coming from Severin Films, and that's going to be available on the 28th. So I'm sure a lot of you will be grabbing that one as well. Now, jumping ahead into October, on October 5th, this is a huge day if you're a horror fan. And you shouldn't be surprised, most big horror releases come out in October, but get your credit cards ready. First off, as I mentioned before in previous videos, we have the Halloween 4K collection coming from Shout Factory. Now, I'm calling it a collection, but it does only include Halloween, the original, which is supposed to be a new 4K transfer versus what was previously released, and then Halloween 2, 3, 4, and 5, all on 4K. I actually sold some movies out of my collection, some duplicates, some steelbooks, some things I had upgraded. I made a decent amount of money doing that, so thank you to anyone who bought them from me via Instagram or wherever else, and I was able to drive up enough sales to go ahead and pre-order. So I have that whole collection coming from Shout Factory with the vinyl, records, with the posters, everything, so I can show that off, and hopefully I'll get it early to check it out for all you guys, so stay tuned for that one. Also on this day, we're getting the Underworld complete series on 4K, so if you're a fan of those movies, I know they have a pretty big following. Me personally, never really get into them. I kind of enjoy the Resident Evil movies more, but I know there's a big base for Underworld, and that has a 4K complete series. And then also for some classic horror, if you're into that, this is the confirmed date for the Universal's Monsters 4K collection. They're all going to get individual releases as well. So there's going to be individual 4K steelbooks that come out, but you'll also be able to buy it as part of this, big 4-movie collection on the 5th. Also on the 5th for horror fans, there is a new re-release steelbook of American Psycho on 4K. It's going to be a Best Buy exclusive, but it's a pretty clean looking steelbook, as you can see from the images here. So if you're a steelbook collector, that could be a fun release for you to pick up. American Psycho has already been available in 4K for some time, but this is clearly, a much more premium option for hardcore fans of that movie. And then rounding out October 5th, we've got LeBron James and his total flop of Space Jam: A New Legacy on 4K. I don't know anybody that actually enjoyed that movie. It was a total money grab. Was not a good movie. Nobody was nostalgic for that. We didn't want to see it. Kids might have enjoyed it, sure, but it certainly wasn't the Space Jam that we grew up with, Michael Jordan, and I think it flopped pretty hard. So that's coming out on 4K already. It just came out on HBO Max maybe a month ago, but you'll be able to grab that on October 5th if you want to support LeBron. Personally, you know that I don't. I'm a Celtics fan. I can't do that. Now on October 12th, 1 week later, we get some really nice releases. First off, from Kino Lorber, they're going to have a string of 4Ks coming here, but they've got Misery, another Stephen King movie, 4K release coming on the 12th. That should be really cool to check out. And then we've got some Tarantino in 4K. Finally, anything other than Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Dusk Till Dawn, we finally have an announcement, and it's Inglourious Bastards. That's coming on October 12th in 4K from Universal. So excited to watch that and see how it looks on the new 4K format, and hopefully, if the sales are good, we get more Tarantino coming. Then rounding out that day, we also have the Guns of Navarone 4K release. That should be awesome. Another classic movie shot on film, big scale. Really excited to see what we can do with that release, what they can do with that. I'm not doing anything. What they can do with that release for the transfer, the audio. So I'll definitely be checking that out. That's one of those ones that gets me hyped up. It's an older movie, and I'm really excited to see it for the first time on this fresh new format. And then rounding out the 12th, this is a Blu-ray release, but the Batman animated series have been coming out for a long time on Blu-ray, and now we're getting the Superman animated series. So if you're a big DC animation fan, I actually am. I have all the Batman series. Now you'll be able to get the Superman complete animated series in a Blu-ray box set on October 12th. Now jumping 1 week ahead, October 19th. This is a big day for boutique labels. First of all, we've got Silence of the Lambs 4K coming out from Kino Lorber. It'll be very interesting to compare that to the Criterion release. Criterion does a really good job with their releases and their 4K scans specifically, and in the past, going head to head, it's been really hard to justify upgrading. So it'll be interesting to see what Kino does on their 4K release of this versus the Criterion. We'll be checking that out here. Also have Scream, that's confirmed for 4K on the 19th. Just the first one for now, but I'm sure if it does well with the new Scream movie coming out next year, maybe you'll start to see 2, 3, and 4, or maybe a box set in 4K come out after the new release. But Scream in 4K should be a lot of fun. Then on the boutique side, we've got Demons 1 and 2 coming to 4K. I mentioned these in a previous video, as well as Maniac Cop 2 and 3. So more from the boutique horror distributors, Blue Underground, Severin, Synapse. They're doing a lot of stuff on 4K, and these are some more from them. So those should be exciting. I've really loved what all of those companies have done with 4K releases, some of the best out there. So I'm excited for more from them. And then rounding out that day, again, this is a bit of a Superman tie-in, but Smallville, the complete series, will be available on Blu-ray on the 19th. So if you liked that show, this is a great chance to buy it all in one set, although it will be pretty pricey. Now jumping ahead 1 week to October 26th, not a huge day here, but we are getting Dusk Till Dawn, the Tarantino, George Clooney, Robert Rodriguez movie. Salma Hayek's in it. Zombie movie, Western, kind of takes a hard turn halfway through. If you haven't seen it, I won't spoil it, but we are getting that 4K release, and that's coming on the 26th, though Inglourious Basterds actually comes first before that, which is cool. And then we're also getting Deep Red on 4K, so another Argento movie from Arrow Video, Deep Red. Also on that day, on the 26th, you can expect the Uncut Gems Criterion Blu-ray. So if you're interested in Criterion, Uncut Gems, I thought was a great movie. Criterion is releasing that with some additional extras and maybe a new scan. TBD on that, but could be a fun release for the Criterion collectors out there. So that rounds out October, and now into November and December, things are still kind of jumping around. So I've got some dates, but the first dates I have, there wasn't really anything on November 2nd right now, so we jump right ahead to November 9th. On November 9th, we get the Addams Family 4K. That's the original Addams Family, not the animated one, not a remake or anything. It's that original Addams Family. Of course, not going way back to the black and white days, but the one from the 90s is coming out on 4K. We also have a new 10 Commandments steelbook on 4K, and this one's interesting because it includes the 1923 black and white version of the 10 Commandments, which the previous standard 4K release did not include. That 1923 version was included on the Blu-ray digibook, the Blu-ray special edition set, but didn't make it to the standard 4K. So I'm actually considering picking that up because I want that 1923 version in my collection. And then on Blu-ray that day, this could be interesting for some of you, but we've got Evolution, which has kind of become a little bit of a cult movie over the years, but that's coming to Blu-ray for the first time, so keep an eye out for that on the 9th. Now jumping ahead 1 week, November 16th, this is the first day that Criterion will release their 4K movies, and the first one's going to be Mulholland Drive. Now the list price on Amazon for this right now is $49.95. And basing on what I'm seeing on other sites, that looks like it's going to be sort of the MSRP. Those are going to be $50 versus Blu-rays, which are usually $40. So it's about $10 more expensive. And what that means is that during a 50% off sale, you should be able to get most of the standard 4K Criterions for $25. That's not terrible. You pay $20 for a Blu-ray, $25 for a 4K. But $50 at release is really expensive, and since Criterion doesn't give out any review copies, I cannot get in touch with them. They will not talk to me. They won't answer emails. They're really hard to crack. If anybody has connections, definitely let me know because I want to check them out. But I can't justify paying $50 for that each time a new 4K comes out. So I'll probably be waiting for 50% off sales on those and then grabbing them and doing a review for you guys. But Mulholland Drive does come out on the 16th. And then also on that day, this is kind of breaking, but the new Candyman movie is supposed to be coming out on 4K that day, as well as Krampus, which is the horror Christmas movie from a few years back. That's going to get a 4K release on the 16th, just in time for the holidays as well. Now on the 23rd, 1 week later, right before Christmas and Black Friday, when you're gonna spend a bunch of money on movies, Criterion puts out a couple more 4K releases. They have their Citizen Kane 4K release coming out on the 23rd. That one's actually listed at $60 because it has some additional discs. It's a 4-disc set, so that would be a $30 disc, 50% off, $60 full price. a little bit cost prohibitive there for me. I could pick up 3 brand new 4K movies for the same price as one Criterion. That's a hard sell. And then Menace to Society 4K also comes out on the 23rd, and that one's listed at $50 standard pricing as Mulholland Drive was. Also on that day, we're getting Invasion of the Body Snatchers on 4K from Kino Lorber, so that's another great boutique title and one that I'm really looking forward to seeing on 4K. Now just a couple more here, and a lot of these just broke as well, but on December 7th, we finally have a confirmed date for Roger Rabbit on 4K. This kept getting pushed back and delayed, and now I finally got an official press email from Disney. It's December 7th, there's official artwork, it's actually happening, it's coming to 4K. So that's confirmed and locked in for a date. Good to see that finally get locked in. It's been jumping around for a while. And then also getting Hard Target on 4K, that's another one from Kino. So Kino has quite a few 4K releases coming out here towards the end of the year, and they actually have plans for many more in 2022. So they're really ramping up their 4K production. And then rounding out the list on December 14th, right now I know that The Wolf of Wall Street is coming to 4K. That's the Martin Scorsese, Leonardo DiCaprio movie about Jordan Belfort and the kind of penny stock business that he was running there in the Wild West of the 90s in Wall Street. So that's a really, really fun movie. Can't wait to see it in 4K and watch it again. I know I enjoyed watching it in theaters, watching it at home. It'll be nice to revisit it in 4K. We'll see how it looks, but I'll be sure to check that one out as well. Now, before we go, I mentioned there's a couple cancellations and delays, and I know right now that Gravity in 4K, so many of us were looking forward to that because we were going to get an Atmos track. New 4K. Atmos wasn't available before on the Blu-ray unless you spend a bunch for that out-of-print Diamond Edition. Unfortunately, that's been canceled. It all came down to differences between the filmmakers and the studio and the mastering team, and there were issues with HDR, and it kept getting delayed, and eventually it just kind of fell apart, and you know, the two sides couldn't come together, get approval, and so Gravity's actually been canceled until further notice. Doesn't look like that one's coming out anytime soon, unfortunately. And then Heat, which has also been talked about in 4K for some time, sort of like Roger Rabbit, that's still floating around. No confirmations from Fox or Disney. They said it was coming out months and months ago, and there's no news on it, no movement on it. Don't know what's holding that one up, but maybe we'll see it before the end of the year. Now that I saw Roger Rabbit get released and get a date, I'm hopeful for Heat, but I have no news on that right now, so we're still waiting for that one. So that's it. I know this was a long video, took a long time to put together, so I appreciate y'all watching it, but that gives you a nice little roadmap for September all the way through to December on what's coming out over the next few months. I'll be sure to update this probably sometime in October to kind of update for anything in November or December that's been changed or updated or released. It's always best to watch the most updated video that I'm making here, because in past videos there were different dates for Roger Rabbit. We didn't know about Criterion in October, but I knew about other movies are in November. Like, things change and are moving all the time, so I try to do these every couple months, and I'll definitely regroup sometime in the fall to jump on this again and go through all the release dates. But hope you enjoyed it. If there are pre-order links available, I'm going to stick them all in the description, so if you pre-order, that helps support my channel and I appreciate it. The best way to support is just subscribing, liking the video so others will see it, and watching. So thank you for doing all of that in advance. If you want to find me on social media, all the links are in the description, as well as ways you can support my channel through donations or other links that help support me. So appreciate all of that, appreciate all the support lately. Hope you guys enjoyed this and are as hyped as I am for some of these releases. I know that this is a huge amount of movies coming, so take your time, budget. You know, you don't have to buy everything all at once. See what goes on sale on Black Friday. We can figure this out as a community, make sure everyone gets the movies and doesn't go broke. So be smart about what you're doing, but I'll be sure to keep you updated on these 4K reviews as best I can, especially with a new baby on the way. But I will keep the channel going, and we'll certainly keep doing 4K reviews. So appreciate the support. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Stay safe and healthy out there, and I'll talk to you soon.